when you look at the roster, a lot has been made about wide receiver depth. What are your thoughts? What do you think about the wide receiving core?
I think they need to add some. I'm a little nervous about what they've got there. Obviously, Amari Cooper is great, and he just continues. I don't know how many times this last season he made a catch, and I'm like, I can't believe he got his feet down. I can't believe he held on to that football. He just continues to do it. Obviously, he's getting a little older, but I think you've still got some years that you can get out of him. I'm just worried behind him what you have. I don't think Elijah Moore is cast right if he's your number 2. I think he needs to be your number 3 or slot guy. I don't know if Cedric Tillman is ready. I'd be nervous kind of rolling the dice on that without some sort of plan B. David Bell did some nice things. I just don't know if he's a guy you can count on. So I think they've got to address that position. I don't know if using the 54th pick is enough to do that, but they've got to find something they can do there. I'd love to see them go out and spend some money there. I don't know if they have the appetite to do that. I would have loved a T. Higgins. Mike Evans, if he hits the market. I know a lot of these guys we're hearing the right things. Obviously, they franchised Higgins. Jason Lick said all the right things about Mike Evans today. But if there's a big name receiver out there, again, watch that trade market. I'd love to see them go and get a guy to be like your number 2. And then maybe if he's young enough, eventually your number 1, when Amari, who is 30 years old, you kind of have to move on from him.
Some of the names that you hear in free agency, Gabe Davis. I mean, you draw the parallel, obviously, to Ken Dorsey, the new offensive coordinator. What are your thoughts on Davis?
I think he'd be good. I don't think you bring him in as like your number 2 necessarily, but I think he's a good player. It's funny, sometimes you go on Twitter and you see Bills fans, they are thrilled that he's gone, but that's a very small sample size. I think Gabe Davis is a good player. I think that connection with Dorsey is big. And, I talked to one of our colleagues who covers the Bills. He said that Gabe Davis loves playing for Ken Dorsey. So I think that's a pretty natural match. And that's a guy that's produced in the NFL. So I would be all about bringing in a guy like that. But I also still think, if you can't get T. Higgins, maybe Tyler Boyd.
Right.
He's more of a slot guy, but he would be interesting, I think, too. He just catches a ton of passes, converts a bunch of third downs. So I think he'd be an interesting name to keep in mind, too.